high profits this commission grants Georgia Power.
She says this sidesteps a scheduled review this fall that should have resulted in a sharp decrease in rates for customers. Graham Carroll, 95.5 WSB.
All right, so your weather for today, mostly cloudy, scattered showers and thunderstorms throughout the day and continuing into the evening hour, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Your afternoon high around 87. She'll have Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast. That comes your way at 12:05. Well, the Senate is headed towards its final set of votes as Republican lawmakers work to advance President Trump's big, beautiful bill. The president was asked about his confidence in the bill passing when he arrived in Florida this morning.
I hear we're doing well, Ron. I hear we're doing well.
Are you confident this can get
I
done
don't
by the
know
4th of
confident.
July?
What does confident mean when you're like, when you have one vote and you have 100 people going to vote? I think so. I think it's going to be the greatest bill ever passed.
But there are holdouts in the GOP over Medicaid. Some think the cuts are too much. Others think it doesn't go far enough. Democrat and Georgia Senator Jon Ossoff talking to Atlanta's Morning News today about his opposition to the bill.
This bill, I think, is a disaster for the state of Georgia. You know, we're now and again in the 24th hour of debate and votes here in the Senate.
He says while some Republicans are holding out, he thinks it's likely to pass along party lines. GOP lawmakers set a deadline of July 4th to get the legislation to President Trump's desk. We'll be watching. Tips from the public help lead to the arrest of a suspect accused of killing a teenager in Brookhaven.
Days after Brookhaven police release a clear video of 3 suspects, there's an arrest in the murder of a 16-year-old near a McDonald's on Claremont Road.
We would not have been able to identify the suspect if it wasn't for those tips that came in through Crime Stoppers Atlanta.
Lieutenant Carlos Nino says the suspect is 18-year-old Enrique Mendoza. He's facing murder and other charges. Police are trying to determine what role the other 2 individuals seen in the video may have had in the shooting. Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
A man is found dead in Douglas County, and now police are asking for your help in identifying him.
The Sheriff's Department is hoping somebody out there can give them some clues as to who the man is that was found in the Chattahoochee River back in May. He's a white male with several tattoos, including the initials SL and a Sanskrit phrase on his left arm, a full back tattoo, and several other tattoos on his torso and upper body. Officials say he's missing 3 front teeth and, based on his clothes, may have been experiencing homelessness, living in either Cobb, Douglas, or Fulton County. Deputies are hoping that somebody's going to recognize the man by this description and give them a call to help identify him. Michelle Wright, 95.5 WSB.
In case you're just joining us, televangelist Jimmy Swaggart has died after suffering cardiac arrest earlier this month. Swaggart was one of the pioneers in bringing the church into people's homes through television ministry. Swaggart famously responded to a 1988 scandal involving a prostitute by tearfully admitting to it and admitting to sin and adultery live on television during a church service. Swaggart, a cousin of the late rock and roll entertainer Jerry Lee Lewis, went into cardiac arrest Sunday morning at his Baton Rouge, Louisiana home. He was 90 years old. Hurricane Flossie has strengthened into a Category 2 storm off Mexico's Pacific coast. The National Hurricane Center reporting the storm has maximum sustained winds now of 100 miles an hour. Flossie's moving northwest at 10 miles an hour and is expected to continue in that direction. Forecasters say the hurricane should move away from the southwestern area of Mexico by Tuesday night. Flossie expected to continue to strengthen and become a major hurricane as soon as this evening. And one of the nation's largest car rental company has rolled out a new AI technology for the first time at Atlanta's airport.
Hertz is now using a vehicle inspection system from UVI at Hartsfield-Jackson, which it says should increase accuracy and speed up inspection times, even billing you for a dent before you leave the counter. The system uses AI-powered cameras to inspect a vehicle's body, glass, tires, and undercarriage for damage before and after a rental. Hertz says it hopes to install the system at 100 other locations before the end of the year. Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
And traveling may be easier for those in the military. The TSA is adding special security lanes at the airport for active duty service members. TSA also offering TSA pre-check discounts to military families. Gold Star families, meaning those who have lost a family member in the line of duty, will have their TSA pre-check enrollment fee waived. According to the latest numbers from the Department of Defense, there are about 1.13 million active duty service members. Let's take a look at the markets. The Dow is up 430 at 44,525. NASDAQ is in negative territory, so is the S&P. All right, let's get a check of the roads. Alex Williams joining us now from the WSB 24-Hour Traffic Center.
And if your commute for the lunch hour takes you out of Sandy Springs into Buckhead via 400 southbound, you're going to run into a few brake lights. No alternate needed, though. It's due to right lane construction, 400 southbound before Lennox Road, exit number 2. Once you get into the Midtown area, we're also seeing some volume, 75-85 southbound from 17th Street down toward North Avenue. Crash off to the right, heading into downtown through East Atlanta, 20 westbound right at the downtown connector, exit 57. And you still got the right lane construction in Gwinnett, 85 northbound Duluth area, Steve Reynolds Boulevard, exit 103. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Right now, your 5-day forecast sponsored by Shoemate, the official air conditioning of Atlanta.
Mostly cloudy with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms today. Some of these storms may produce damaging wind gusts that can knock down trees and power lines, as well as torrential downpours that could lead to localized flooding. Today's high is 87. More storms for tonight, low 71. Drying out for tomorrow as a cold front moves through, partly cloudy, high 89. Thursday and Friday, lower humidity levels. Thursday morning low 70, afternoon high 90 with a sunny sky. Friday, Independence Day, morning low 72, afternoon high 91 with sunshine throughout the afternoon. Saturday, partly high near 90.
All right, we'll have more news at 12:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
That's right. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act is passing the U.S. Senate. The Big Beautiful Bill passes. And that is with J.D. Vance casting the tie-breaking vote. It was extremely close there in the U.S. Senate, but they've managed to get it done. There was kind of a wild scenario as the president was speaking at Alligator Alcatraz down there in South Florida as this thing got started. So great screen display here, the split screen between the president and the vice president in Washington, D.C., a tag team effort there happening as the Big Beautiful Bill passes in Washington, D.C. The United States Senate, it was a 50-50 vote. J.D. Vance casting the tie-breaking vote there in Washington to make this happen. Lots of deals have been cut over the last, there were 72 hours as the Senate has been in pretty much a nonstop debate. In fact, they have paused the U.S. Senate operations to say their daily prayer, which they did not do while the legislation was pending in debate. So when the debate ended, they ramped up and said their prayer. Business now goes on. It is a 51-50 vote. All the Democrats opposed. A handful of Republicans opposed to the legislation as well. John Thune, a short time ago, said they had a final deal. They got that deal, and they went to the floor with a vote. It's a big win for Donald Trump. It's a big win for John Thune, who was able to get it done. Mitch McConnell and Lisa Murkowski both voted yes. Mitch McConnell shook hands with Lisa Murkowski, patted her on the back, and then she stood and cast her yes vote. Susan Collins voted no. Rand Paul voted no. Tom Tillis voted no. But it doesn't matter. They got the votes. After it was over, Angus King, the Democratic independent from Maine, walked out of the chamber, turned to Republicans and said, "Shame, shame on you. This is the most disgusting vote I've ever been in my life." Bernie Moreno of Ohio then went to complain to the clerk about Senator Angus King's behavior. It doesn't matter. The vote is done. The Senate has passed it. J.D. Vance with his tie-breaking vote. Now it goes back to the House. The president is now signaling, you should know, that there's going to be a possible bit of a pause on this legislation as the House considers it, because there are 5 to 10 members of the House of Representatives who are not sold on it, most of them House conservatives. They're not sold on some of the Senate changes. One thing for you guys to know, for the Second Amendment supporters out there, the fees on suppressors has been reduced to 0. Now, the National Association of Gun Rights wants other legislation put in here, but the Senate parliamentarian ruled that it was policy not budget-wise. The tax issue was a budget thing, so that could go through. Gun rights activists upset. Social Security advocates are happy. I just pushed out, as the vote was going and as I was coming on air, I pushed out the show notes today. It's not behind the paywall. If you text ERICK, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, click the first link, go to the show notes. You can see for yourself the show notes, and you can see that there actually was language they put into the legislation, and that language actually helps. That language raises a deduction for Social Security. Let me give you this. This is from the Wall Street Journal. The tax savings for a married couple with $100,000 of income could be about $1,600 a year under the Senate plan. It amounts to a bit less than half the savings if there were no income tax on Social Security benefits. Under the House plan, they would save around $1,200. Under the Senate proposal, 88% of people 65 and older wouldn't pay income taxes on Social Security, the White House says. Currently, 64% don't pay. Neither group includes Social Security recipients 64 and below who wouldn't get a tax break. So if you're over 65 and you get Social Security, you will get a tax break on your benefits. Now, a lot of people are still scrambling to figure out what's actually in the legislation, what will be there. The Wall Street Journal has a piece on the renewable energy sector. The Senate's latest version caught the renewable energy sector off guard with a new tax on wind and solar projects that, together with the quick end of lucrative tax credits, would devastate the industry. Clean energy companies said the U.S. risks a slowdown in power delivery during the global artificial intelligence race by ending the tax credits that were part of former President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. The U.S. is poised to cede advances in technologies from solar panels to batteries to electric vehicles to China. Now, that's a big fear scenario from these guys. It is a big loser. The tax would apply to wind and solar projects completed after 2027 if those projects use a certain percentage of components from China. Meanwhile, large-scale wind and energy projects would qualify for tax credits only if placed in service by the end of 2027. Joni Ernst, Chuck Grassley, and Lisa Murkowski proposed repealing the excise tax proposal and delaying the phase-out of the credits by maintaining them for projects that begin construction by the end of 2027. Solar and wind power make up more than 60% of generation capacity that's expected to be added. The president prefers coal and natural gas and nuclear. Now, U.S. factories are expected to be a winner here. The proposed wind and solar excise tax could offer salvation to companies that have invested in U.S. factories for wind, solar, and battery. Companies making factory investments have been worried that without a reason to do so, U.S. developers would return to buying the cheapest panels from China. Well, U.S. manufacturers for wind and solar are going to get big tax breaks. The struggling rooftop solar industry faced a potential fatal blow after the version of the bill passed the House called for sunsetting tax credits. The Senate version is a little more generous. It instead would extend the credits for leased solar panels to the end of 2027, giving rooftop-focused companies more time to regroup. Hydrogen caught a break in the latest version of the bill. Projects can qualify for a tax credit if they begin construction before 2028. Under the House version, that deadline was the end of this year. Electric vehicles are a loser. The Senate bill would end tax credits for the purpose of EVs after September. That's quicker than the House version, which called for eliminating them by the end of the year. That would lead to higher EV prices. Elon Musk is upset about it. He's railed against the legislation. Elon Musk is now up there claiming that he wants to start a third party. He wants to challenge every Republican who votes for this bill. It's going to be 50 of them. He would be challenging. He's propping up Thomas Massie, he says, now Chip Roy and a few others in the House who are opposed to the legislation. The president suggesting today he might just, deport Elon Musk. This is the president at the White House before he left to go down to Florida.
What happened to Elon Musk? Nothing. He's upset he's losing his EV mandate, and he's he's very upset about things, but he could lose a lot more than that. I can tell you right now. Hey, Elon can lose a lot more than that.
Yeah, the president is suggesting he's going to look into deporting Elon Musk if he doesn't shut up. Elon Musk went on another tirade last night about the legislation, condemning the legislation, among other things. And the president is not backing down from this. Elon Musk's friends apparently are trying to intervene with Elon Musk to get him to calm down. He doesn't seem to want to calm down. A lot of Democrats are angry about this. Now, Medicaid work requirements were expanded in the legislation, just so you know. That legislation will be affected. Rand Paul, Tom Tillis, Susan Collins joined the Democrats to vote against it. Lisa Murkowski's vote was needed. They gave her some carve-outs of things. Listen to this. This is how they cut the deal here. Lisa Murkowski was upset about some alterations to SNAP benefits and Medicaid. The Republicans literally carved out Alaska, giving her an exemption on Medicaid. They reworked some of the SNAP language to be able to help Lisa Murkowski in Alaska, so she voted for it because Alaska now gets special treatment in the legislation that was needed to get Lisa Murkowski's vote. There were a lot of deals cut in this legislation. It's not good legislation, but they managed to get it through. Of course, the Democrats are upset. The New York Times headline right now, I kid you not, is Republican bill puts nation on new, more perilous fiscal path. Really. That's where the New York Times lands on this. The legislation Republicans passed through the Senate on Tuesday stands apart in its harm to the budget. Analysts say, the same ones who have said all sorts of terrible things about Donald Trump, and probably the same ones who believed Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation. Not only did an initial analysis show it added at least $3.3 trillion to the national debt over the next 10 years, making it among the most expensive bills in a generation, but it would also reduce the amount of tax revenue the country collects for decades. Such a shortfall could begin a seismic shift in the nation's fiscal trajectory and raise the risk of a debt crisis. There's already a debt crisis. Notice, everybody knows the debt crisis is already coming. And the media is rapidly rushing to blame this on the Republicans as opposed to it is bipartisan failure. Bipartisan failure. A lot of Republicans are not happy. I'm not happy. It's not good legislation. But the alternative is a massive tax hike on the American public next year. A $50 billion rural hospital fund, Susan Collins insisted needed to be in the legislation, wound up appearing in the legislation. It is not clear if Susan Collins knew it was in the legislation. She voted against it. She got what she wanted. She might not have known at the end of the day that it was in there. Nonetheless, Maine gets a win here that it otherwise would not have gotten. It's a convoluted, messy piece of legislation. J.D. Vance just tweeted massive tax cuts, especially no tax on tips and overtime, big money for border security, a big win for the American public. This is the selling point. So now the Republicans need to get out there to the working class and sell this. They got to say no tax on tips. They got to say no tax on overtime. They've got to sell those points. They got to make the case the Medicaid reforms apply only to single people who don't have jobs. They're expected to get jobs, and they don't have disability. But can it pass the House? That's now the big question. Can it pass by July 4th? I don't know the answer to that. There are enough objections from some Republicans in the House of Representatives that I'm not exactly sure they're going to be able to get it done this week. They're certainly going to try to get it done this week. They want to get it done this week. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. I don't know if they can. I'm trying to read the tea leaves here. The Republicans in the House think they're going to be able to pull enough votes over. A lot of the people who say they're no will wind up voting for it ultimately. In fact, there's an ongoing effort by some people who don't want it to pass to shame Republicans who've been vocally opposed to it for then winding up voting for it. But I think those people in their districts are going to get rewarded for voting for it. So Chip Roy very adamantly opposed to it, but will he change his mind if this is the best they believe they can do? I don't know. Chip doesn't seem to really care whether he wins or loses. He's there for the fight. This is the fight to be had. Will it make a difference? I don't know. What I do know is this. J.D. Vance will now come 2028, having cast the tie-breaking vote for this. It will be a defining moment for him as he seeks the presidency, and Democrats try to wrap it around him. What I also know is that Republicans, if they get out on the ground right now this weekend and start selling no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, if they sell those things, they're probably going to be able to turn some people around towards them on the legislation. But Republicans have been terrible about selling the legislation. At the end of the day, though, it is a budget-busting behemoth that's going to raise the national debt. And people are concerned about the national debt. And Republican accounting gimmicks only make it look like they're doing something when they're really not. That's the truth.
Have something to say? Hello. Call the show. 1-877-97-ERIC. That's 1-877-973-7425.
1221 Cool-Ray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. All lanes just blocked and reopened in Norcross. Here, unit escorted a crash to the right shoulder. 85 northbound Indian Trail Road, exit 101. You're a little slow making your way through Norcross toward Duluth. Don't forget, once you get to Steve Reynolds Boulevard, exit 103, there's right lane construction. We also got a crash moved off to the right into Cobb County, southeast leg of the perimeter. 285 westbound, the inner loop before Boulder Crest Road, exit 51. Traffic brought to you by the International Hot Rod Association. Nitro's back. The IHRA Outlaw Nitro Series is lighting up the track. Nitro Nation, grab your tickets now at ihra.com. That's ihra.com. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Is your summer vacation going to be a week at the beach or a week in the backyard standing in the kiddie pool?
If you listen to 95.5 WSB, that week at the beach could be yours. It's $1,000 Thursdays on WSB.
Your chance to win $1,000 every hour between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. on Thursdays.
Listen for the keyword. Enter the keyword at WSBradio.com or on the WSB app within that hour.
Get all the info at WSBradio.com.
$1,000 Thursdays this Thursday.
From 95.5 WSB.
Where Atlanta wins.
Men, are you having problems performing in the bedroom? Do pills like Viagra and Cialis leave you feeling frustrated? Well, now, there's new hope for men who suffer from PE and ED problems. Meet Dr. Katz, a specialist in men's health.
Hey guys, I'm Dr. Katz with Choice Men's Health. Regardless of your age or medical condition, Choice Men's Health can safely restore your sexual potency. Our customized solutions can eliminate your problem in just one visit. There's no pain, no surgery, and it's affordable.
Guys, don't let the anxiety over your performance get you down. We can get you back in the game. Call Choice Men's Health today to find out how you can eliminate ED on the very first visit. Call 404-400-1170. That's 404